You have probably heard the argument before. Pineapple on pizza is either a brilliant, sweet and salty invention or a crime against Italian cuisine. There rarely seems to be any middle ground. Friends have stopped talking to each other over this topping. Internet comment sections have turned into digital battlefields. But what most people do not realize is that the story of pineapple pizza is far stranger and more surprising than the argument itself. The combination did not come from Italy. It did not come from a celebrity chef. And it did not start as an attempt to ruin anyone's dinner. By the end of this video, you will know exactly who put pineapple on pizza first, why they did it, and how a simple menu experiment turned into one of the biggest food controversies in the world. To understand the pineapple pizza debate, we need to travel back to the early 1960s. The world was changing fast. International travel was becoming easier. New foods from different cultures were mixing together in ways that had never happened before. In North America, pizza was still a fairly new and exciting food. Italian immigrants had brought it over decades earlier. But most people thought of it as a basic dish topped with tomatoes, cheese, and maybe a little pepperoni. Pizza was simple, predictable, and safe. And then one restaurant owner in Canada decided to get creative. That restaurant owner was a man named Sam Panopoulos. He was born in Greece and moved to Canada as a young man after World War II. Like many immigrants at the time, he worked hard, saved money, and eventually opened a small restaurant in the town of Chatham, Ontario. The restaurant was called the Satellite Restaurant, and it served a mix of typical North American diner food: burgers, fries, sandwiches, and simple comfort meals. Pizza was on the menu, but it was not yet the global superstar it would later become. Panopoulos noticed something interesting about food trends in the early 1960s. People were becoming more curious about flavors from other parts of the world. Chinese restaurants were becoming popular. Sweet and sour dishes were suddenly fashionable. Canned pineapple was showing up in all kinds of recipes. Tropical flavors felt modern and exciting. So one day, almost on a whim, Panopoulos decided to try something new with his pizzas. He took a basic pizza, added ham, opened a can of pineapple, and sprinkled the pieces on top. Then he baked it and served it to customers to see what would happen. That simple experiment became the very first Hawaiian pizza. The name Hawaiian pizza did not come from Hawaii. It came from the brand of canned pineapple he used, which happened to be called Hawaiian. The pizza had nothing to do with the islands, surfing, or tropical beaches. It was simply a convenient label on a can that ended up giving a new dish its identity. At first, the reaction was mixed. Some customers were confused. Fruit on pizza sounded strange, but others loved it immediately. The sweetness of the pineapple balanced the saltiness of the ham and the richness of the cheese. It was different, bold, and memorable. Word spread, and soon other restaurants started copying the idea. Without realizing it, Sam Panopoulos had launched a food trend that would eventually circle the globe. For many years, pineapple on pizza was not especially controversial. It was just another topping option. As pizza chains expanded across North America in the 1970s and 1980s, Hawaiian pizza became a standard menu item. Millions of people grew up eating it and thinking of it as completely normal. In countries like Australia, Sweden, and Germany, it became one of the most popular pizza styles of all time. In some places, it even outsold traditional Italian-style pizzas. So if pineapple pizza was so popular, where did all the anger come from? The controversy really began when global food culture collided with internet culture. As social media grew, food opinions became louder and more extreme. People started treating pizza traditions like sacred rules instead of flexible recipes. Italian chefs and food purists began to push back hard against what they saw as an insult to authentic pizza making. To them, pineapple did not belong on something rooted in centuries of Italian culinary history. But here is the funny part. Many of the toppings considered normal today were once just as controversial. Tomatoes were not even part of Italian cooking until a few hundred years ago. Early pizzas in Naples did not include mozzarella cheese. Pepperoni is an American invention, not an Italian one. In fact, the idea that pizza must follow strict ancient rules is mostly a modern myth. Pizza has always changed and evolved depending on where it traveled. Still, pineapple became the symbol of everything food traditionalists disliked about modern pizza. It was sweet instead of savory. It was tropical instead of Mediterranean. It broke the unspoken rule that fruit should stay far away from melted cheese. And once people started arguing about it online, the debate took on a life of its own. Famous chefs jumped into the fight. Television personalities declared pineapple pizza an abomination. Entire countries jokingly claimed it should be banned. Even political leaders got involved. In 2017, the president of Iceland joked in an interview that he would outlaw pineapple on pizza if he had the power. The comment was meant as humor, but it sparked international headlines and endless arguments. The debate became less about taste and more about identity. Liking pineapple on pizza turned into a personality trait. Hating it became a badge of honor for food snobs. Memes spread. T-shirts were printed. The simple creation from a small Canadian restaurant somehow turned into a global cultural war. From a purely culinary point of view, pineapple on pizza actually makes a lot of sense. Good cooking often balances different flavors. Sweet and salty combinations are common in many respected dishes. Think about honey glazed ham, cranberry sauce with turkey, or sweet and sour chicken. Pineapple provides acidity and sweetness that can cut through rich cheese and fatty meats. Scientifically, the combination works. The real issue is not flavor chemistry. It is expectation. When people imagine pizza, they picture something savory. Adding fruit challenges that expectation, and humans are not always comfortable with challenged expectations. Food traditions feel personal. They connect to childhood memories and cultural pride. Changing them can feel like changing something sacred. Over the years, variations of Hawaiian pizza have appeared all over the world. Some versions add bacon instead of ham. Others include spicy peppers to create an even bigger contrast of flavors. Gourmet restaurants have experimented with fresh pineapple, caramelized pineapple, or even grilled pineapple. What started as a simple canned topping has turned into an entire category of creative pizzas. Interestingly, in Italy itself, pineapple pizza does exist, but it is often marketed specifically to tourists. Many Italians still dislike the idea, but even their attitudes are slowly softening. Younger generations who grew up with global food influences are more open to experimentation than their grandparents. Sam Panopoulos lived long enough to see his accidental invention become world famous. Until his death in 2017, he was often amused by how seriously people took the topic. He never expected to start a culinary revolution. He was just a restaurant owner trying something fun to see if customers would like it. In interviews, he often laughed about the fact that a tiny decision made in a small, Canadian town had somehow turned into an international argument. Today, pineapple pizza remains one of the most ordered and most hated pizzas at the same time. It is loved passionately and criticized loudly. It appears on children's menus and gourmet menus. It is celebrated in some countries and rejected in others. Few foods manage to create such strong reactions with such a simple idea. The story of pineapple on pizza shows something important about food and culture. What we consider normal is often just a habit we are used to. New combinations can feel strange at first and completely natural a generation later. Almost every popular dish in history was once considered unusual by someone. So who really put pineapple on pizza first? A Greek immigrant in Canada with a can opener and a sense of curiosity. Not a chef following tradition. Not a marketing team chasing trends. Just a regular person willing to experiment and see what happened. And that might be the most interesting part of the whole story. One small creative choice in a modest restaurant ended up changing menus all over the world. It reminds us that food history is not only shaped by famous cooks and ancient recipes. Sometimes it is shaped by simple accidents and playful ideas. The next time someone tells you pineapple does not belong on pizza, you can remember that pizza itself has never stopped changing. New toppings appear, tastes evolve, and traditions grow in unexpected directions. What feels wrong today might feel completely normal tomorrow. So here's a question to leave you thinking. If a topping invented by accident can spread across the planet and divide millions of people, what other everyday foods are we arguing about that might look totally different in 50 years? If you enjoy learning the surprising stories behind ordinary things, consider subscribing to Things Explained. There are plenty more delicious mysteries left to uncover.